Hello dear students. In this video, we will learn about static storage class. In the previous three videos, we have seen what do you mean by auto, extern and register storage class. Best way to learn static storage class is to directly see an example C program. Again, I have written a very simple code where there is a function called void f1. Check that f1 is a void function, so it will not return any value. So return statement is missing. There is no return statement inside the void function. And f1 is a function which doesn't take any parameters either. No parameters. But still this empty bracket must be written. You know the rules. So it's a very simple function, but inside this function, notice inside the scope of this function, curly brace open and curly brace close, we have made a declaration. X is an integer variable and it has storage class static. Now, whenever you want a variable to have static storage class, then you will have to particularly mention that storage class, that X has static storage class. Also notice we have not given any value to X. We have not initialized X. Check. X has been declared, but there is no value assigned. But then in the case of static storage class variables, if the variable is not initialized, then it stores a default value. And you know that default value of int variable is 0. So in this case, X, default value of X or automatically stored value of X will be 0. Anyway, we should not look at the function first. You all know why, because when we start running this program, main will start first. So let's try and execute main. Just give me some time. So here we go. Let's see what main is doing. When main starts, it directly calls the function f1. This is a call to the void function, isn't it? So let's run the function f1 for the first time. See, the function f1 has been called for the first time. Then let's see what happens. Why I'm stressing on this first time point, is because it is very effective when it comes to the discussion of static storage class. So what were we saying is that this function f1 is called for the first time. Then this variable x is getting declared as static storage class variable. So x is going to be stored in the memory with default value 0 because we have not assigned it any value. But don't forget the fundamentals that we saw in the previous three videos. Anything declared inside the scope becomes local to that scope. So this x, which is 0 at the moment, is actually a local property, and the variable x can be used only within that scope. Okay, and its default value is 0. Now I am reading the next line of the function x plus plus. Obviously x plus plus will increase the value of x from 0 to 1. So the new value of x is 1. And I am now reading the third line of the function printf %d \n x. This will output the value of x, and x is 1. So here at the right corner, I am showing the output. The output, when the function is called for the first time, the output is 1. Okay, because x is 1. And now the function is getting over. Due to this curly brace close, the function is getting terminated or finished. Here comes the big point. Actually, the topic of static starts now. You all know that whatever is declared inside the scope gets deleted when the scope ends. Come on, you know this. We have learned about auto storage class. If a variable or a resource is declared inside the scope, then that resource or variable is deleted from the memory as soon as the scope ends. But here is the twist. We have declared the variable x as static. Then in this case, x will stay in the memory. X will not be deleted from the memory, and it will stay in the memory, and even its value is 1, even that value will be restored, it will be saved in the memory. That's why probably the word static. Okay, the variable is not deleted although the scope ends. So what do you have? The function is over, function has executed for the first time, and the first output we got was 1 because the value of x was 1, and x equal to 1 is still there in the memory although the scope has finished. Okay, now we get back to main again, and look, the next line of main is f1 again. That means we are calling the same function again for the second time. Okay, let's see what happens when we are in that function for the second time. When the function starts for the second time, it reads the first line, static int x, obviously. But now this line, static int x, is simply ignored during the second execution. This line is simply ignored. Come on. C language will say that last time I had made this x stored and I did not delete that x because x was static. So even that value is stored. So how come it is going to make a mistake of declaring x again? Please try to understand, whenever we declare a static variable, then such variables are declared only once during the first execution of that particular scope. Now let's come to the second line. Second line of the function is x plus plus, correct? Obviously, the previous value of x will now change to 2. It was 1 last time. And the last line of the function is printf %d backslash nx. So on the output, 2 will be printed. Previously, 1 was already printed. And now comes again the same point. We are coming to the end of the function. You see, the function is getting terminated here. And when the function gets terminated, the static variables are not deleted from the memory, although the scope ends. Static variables stay in the memory and even their value is restored. The value of static variable x now is 2. Okay, let's get back to main. Now in main, we are again calling the same function f1 for the third time. So let's re-enter the function for the third time. Now, this line, static int x, will be ignored because C will say that I had already declared x during the first execution and then I have not deleted x. So it won't commit a mistake of declaring an x again. The second line x plus plus is going to use the previous value of x and increase it to 3. And the third line is going to print 3. And now just check again, the function is getting finished. But the static variable won't be deleted from the memory. And we return back to main. In main, now there is only one line, return 0 and end of main. So the program is finished. Listen, when the program is over, then this x will be deleted from the memory. Yes, of course. Now, program itself is getting finished, isn't it? So whatever resources, whatever variables the program needed are to be destroyed from the memory, and the final output we get is 1, 2, 3. But what was the inference from this? The inference is, inside any scope, curly brace open, curly brace close, inside a scope, whenever you declare a static variable, and if you don't assign it a value, it is by default 0 first time. And when the scope ends, such variables are not deleted from the memory. So when you re-enter that scope, when you re-enter the scope for second time, third time, fourth time, then the previous value of that static variable will be used. All right. So now what students feel, after learning all this? What students say that, okay, it seems that static int x, this line declares x, which will never die from the memory, and it will stay in the memory for the entire program. Check my words. X will stay in the memory, it will not get deleted, and it stays in the memory for the entire program. Then students start thinking that this looks like a global variable. Even global variables were not deleted till the program was running. So one attempt some student might do here is, they might say, okay, anyway, x is not dying. So let me try in main, let me try to print the value of x here, because I know even if the function was over, x was not destroyed. So I'll try to print x, hoping that this will print the latest value of x. But listen, this line inside main is going to give an error. Stick to the basics. Stick to the basics. Although x is staying in the memory, it is staying only for that scope. So you are allowed to use x only when you enter that scope. Which scope I am talking about? The scope where you see within which x has been declared. So although x is not destroyed, C says, look, you have x available, but you can use x when you re-enter that scope. So that means x is still local to the scope. I hope you are understanding. So what are the points we have covered about static variable? One, variable, I will write in short, variable having static storage class. Static storage class is not not deleted, not deleted from memory, not deleted from the memory, even when scope ends. Okay, so when you re-enter, when we re-enter the scope, this scope in which that static variable is declared, when we re-enter the scope, we can use the static variable and its previous value. Previous value is also available, isn't it? Because the value was also restored, is also available. This is the first point we saw about static storage class. The second very interesting point we saw about static storage class is, if static variable is not initialized, then it assumes a default value 0. Nice. Now come again, let's have some more discussion about static variable before we go to the actual IDE where we will type these programs and give hands on that. Now you see here that there is a void f1 function again, but in this function we have declared int x. Look, we have not written the word static. You all know, immediately you know that we have not given any storage class, we have not written any storage class, but x has been declared within the scope. Correct? It has been declared within the scope. So this x has auto storage class. Now x has auto storage class in this example. And listen, we have not given any initial value to x. Then you all know x will assume some garbage value. Okay, let's start main. Execution from main. There is a call to F1, you see. First call to F1. So when F1 will be called first time, this auto int x will be declared. And what will be the value of x? Garbage. Some value, maybe it might be 100. And that value will be increased by 1 due to x plus plus. And that increased value will be printed. So the first output is, we really don't know. It might be some garbage value. I hope you are understanding. But the big thing is coming up now. See this, after printing x, observe that the function is getting terminated due to curly brace close. Then the variable x and the garbage value that it stored last time are completely deleted from the memory. Come on, it is an auto variable. So once you leave the function and when you come back to main, you don't have any such variable saved in the memory. So this is the second call. You observe second call to the function, isn't it? So run the function for the second time. Again, this line will be executed, auto int x, because last time x was destroyed. So C will say, I will make a new variable x and store some garbage value in that variable. Then I will increase that value by 1, correct, due to x plus plus, right? And I will print that value on the screen due to printf. So again on the screen garbage will be printed. Needless to say, you understood it enough that when this function terminates for the second time you watch, again x is deleted. So what will be the third call to the function? Obviously, you know, third call to the function will also print garbage on the screen. So you saw how that auto variable inside the scope was created 3 times and destroyed 3 times. But you saw how this static variable, which was declared inside the scope, just check, this static variable, static index, which was declared inside the scope, was created only once, and you can use it again when you re-enter that scope. I hope I have spoken enough about static variable. Now let's see. The same program that I had written on the slide, we have got F1 function in which there is static index and x plus plus printf %dx and 3 calls to F1. I have already saved this file. It's a matter of building and running this program. So you will see that the output should be 1, 2, 3 as we wrote or as we saw on the slide when I was executing the program on paper. Give me some time, it requires some time to run this code. Well, there was no point in running the code because I know you trust me and you know that the output will be 1, 2, 3. But listen, once we are into code blocks, you know, then we can try out some new things. We can delete that static word and we can assign some new value maybe. And oh, it's taking a lot of time. It's taking really a long. Come on. What's the output? Tell us the output. 1, 2, 3 it must be. Hope so this executes today. Okay, by the way, let it execute. Here is my question. I am keeping the entire program intact. The only change I am doing here is that this x here, which was not initialized, I am making x equal to 10. Note the sentence now is static int x equal to 10. So now only first time, you know, when we enter this scope, x will be declared as you all know and its value won't be default 0. Now it will be 10. So x will become 11 and the first output will be 11 in this window. And note, please try to understand that this value, latest value of x, which is 11, will be restored. So second time when you re-enter F1 function, it won't use 10 as the value. It will use 11 as the previous value. So the next output is going to be 12 and the next output is going to be 13. So that's what happens when you are giving some initial value to the static variable. Okay, let me check. Yes, the output is 1, 2, 3. All right. What if I go back to code blocks and if I remove this word static from here? Now you see x has been declared inside the F1 function, inside the scope, but it is not having any storage class. Then by default, x is going to be auto variable and its value is going to be garbage. So you will see some 3 garbage values because F1 has been called 3 times. I hope this time it runs quite fast. So you can see this was the garbage value assumed and this was incremented. It's very misleading, you know. You might say, no, sir, the same value was increased 51, 52, 53, and you said it will be destroyed, value also will be lost. What happened, you know, all 3 times we called the function, same garbage value was used. So first time garbage value was 42,00950, and then x plus plus made it 951 and printed x, and then x got destroyed. Second time when the function was called, again the same garbage value was assumed. Why not? It can happen. Correct? Oh, second garbage value assumed was 52,00951. I am sorry. Second time the garbage value assumed was 42,00951, and it was increased. But really, you have seen that some garbage value is stored in this variable x. All right, what if I make x equal to 10 here? And I say that this is static. Static. Now the output, just see the output now. Hope so, it runs very fast. Yeah, 11, 12, 13. That confirms that x equal to 10 was used only first time, but next time, the previous value of x was used. So enough of static storage class we have seen. See you in the next video with some more fundamentals of functions. Thank you very much.